do the sex. Today's locker room talk topic is how OnlyFans is changing the beauty standards for women. Is it possible that OnlyFans is truly feminist? I say yes, but that shouldn't surprise you. I have a returning guest on today, Jazmen Jafar, attorney turned OnlyFans superstar. You should scroll back through past episodes and listen to her story. It's truly inspiring and interesting, intriguing. So I'm excited to have her back here today. I am going to hand the mic over to her and let her introduce herself to you guys again.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jazmen Jafar. This is my second time on here. I had a great time the first time. You guys should definitely go check out that past episode. But for those of you that don't know about me, I am an OnlyFans creator, and I have a little bit of a unique background because I'm also a lawyer, and I come from an immigrant family both of my parents are immigrants from Iran. So we come from a more conservative culture, especially as it pertains to sex. And then also being an attorney, this is usually not the common background for an OnlyFans creator, but it's something that I really wanted to do. And I just took the leap and I did it. And it's been about, I want to say 6-7 months since I actually left my job at my law firm, because I was doing both for a while, living quite an interesting double life. And now I do OnlyFans full time. And part of my mission is to break some of the stigma that comes along with sex work and OnlyFans and be an example of somebody who had a lot of other options available to me, and I chose this option.
Yeah, I love that part of your story. I think that there is the stigma around sex work of, oh, it's something women turn to because they have nothing else they can do to make money. And I've had several guests on here. It's just a bunch of bullshit. Sex work is legitimate work. And this is where this conversation that we're going to have comes in. I mean, I don't know if every woman does this, but I certainly throughout my life had fantasies about sex work, about or being in porn or in Playboy, all of those things. But it seemed something that wouldn't be accessible to me because, I've shared with my listeners, I'm 5 foot tall. I have small boobs. I got one nipple that's inverted. Like if you stand in front of me and stare at my boobs, it looks like they're winking at you. I mean, I don't have what are. I mean, I'd like to think it's endearing, right? Maybe there's a niche for that altogether. But yeah, there was this part of me that just felt like even having those kind of photos or nude photos of me, it wasn't accessible because I didn't meet the beauty standards in society, which are heavily influenced by the adult industry. And specifically, Playboy, I think, has gotten away with a little bit too much over the years. They really, that publication really did its damage to women and beauty standards and controlling the narrative of what we were supposed to look like in order to be considered sexy and so on and so forth. So I am excited to talk to you about how you feel OnlyFans is shifting that narrative. So listeners, I'm going to give you a little surprise. Jazmen and I are going to have this conversation. We're going to start out with it, but now I'm really, really outside of, quote, beauty standards for the traditional adult industry. I'm older now. I'm 48. So what we're going to do is Jazmen is going to help me set up my profile. I mean, this is all hypothetical, so don't run on over to my Instagram and look for my OnlyFans. But so stay tuned for that. Also, I'm just going to go ahead and mention it up front. If you have not subscribed to my XXX subscriber only podcast, please do that. That's where I am getting extra real about my personal sex life and experiences. And boy, are they booming right now, but I'm not going to share it here. It's $5 a month, and I post weekly episodes on on all the good stuff that I am not willing to share for free. So check it out. But right now, let's raise our glasses. We're having coffee. It's morning for both of us, right? It's 11 a.m., which is definitely
It's morning for me.
Yeah.
All right. I am having a white chocolate mocha from Starbucks.
And I am having coffee with a protein shake. So cheers. Let's talk about sex. Let's just jump in with kind of your view of how OnlyFans is changing the beauty standards. Maybe start with what you think the beauty standards were and where they're moving, because OnlyFans has given women of all sizes, shapes, ages access to fans.
Exactly. So I'm also 5 feet tall, and I actually never, I'm only, people think online I'm taller. I'm like 4'11" and 3/4. So I'm very short too. Being some model or Playboy or anything was never something I thought would be a reality for me either. And I mean, same thing. I kind of grew up, anytime I would see porn, it would be just this airbrushed, perfect, like the fake big boobs that like were so perky. I have big boobs, but they're real. So they don't look the way that those boobs looked, And so I never was like looking at that like, oh, that could be me. But I think what happened with OnlyFans is that OnlyFans is marketed as like, hey, the girl next door, the girl in your science class, the barista. These normal everyday women are wanting to share their bodies and their sexuality online on this platform. And seeing the success of that is just a testament to how much people want that kind of content. People don't want all the time this airbrushed, perfect, excellent lighting type of content. I mean, I am an example of that. I clearly don't have any of that equipment. I don't have perfect lighting. It really is just kind of DIY on your cell phone. Here's my body before I take a shower. Here's how I look. And you put it online and you're like, oh, people, and that's another thing is I feel like the industry tells us, oh, hide your stretch marks, hide your cellulite, your boobs are saggy, your butt isn't perfect, you have imperfections, etc. And then women, we look at that and we are so hard on ourselves when a lot of times men do not care. Like that's in my experience. They're not sitting there like, oh, you have a stretch mark on your hip, your skin isn't perfect. I get requests all the time. I like to wear makeup, but I get requests like, hey, I like to see a video without makeup. I want to know what you look like when you first wake up. And I think I talked about this last time. I started out promoting myself on Reddit. And on Reddit, you see so many different subreddits for all different, like big boobs, small boobs, redheads, mature, MILFs, chubby, skinny, like anything you can think of, people are attracted to that. So having the mainstream show us this one image of what supposedly is attractive, which is like this height and you're blonde, or if you're brunette, you look like this. And then you see OnlyFans take off and be what it is. And you see that, oh, that's not true. There are top creators that look all different ways and are showcasing themselves like into different things they're into, fetishes, fetish friendly, etc. And there's a market really for anybody, I think.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. First of all, can I just say how thrilled I am that you're 5 feet tall? You're actually a tiny bit
5 feet tall.
tiny bit shorter than me, which blows my mind. You do look taller. But I think that you're right that I often ponder, we focus on men being the cause of the current beauty standards. And I want to address that a little bit. And look, I don't have any numbers to back this up, but in my experience as a woman who definitely doesn't fit, never has the beauty standards that society has kind of put out there, I have never had difficulty attracting men. And the things that men have commented on about me that they fell in love with were the things I would have considered my imperfections. My blinking nipples, my inverted nipple, which I have been very, throughout my life, self-conscious about. And then I have small breasts. I am short. I don't have the standard figure that would be considered, quote, gorgeous by society's standards. And I have also found that men that I've been with or who have been interested in me consistently ask for no makeup.
Yeah.
Like they want authentic. And I also think when it comes to porn and looking at porn myself, I'm openly bisexual. I'm openly queer. I'm openly like, I love women. I have to say, when I turn to porn myself, I always put, when I'm Googling it online, I always put amateur
Me
in the
too. Me
headline.
too. I do the same thing. I don't consume a lot of it, but if I do consume it, I like the person to just look real. I like the person to look like it's like me or like any other girl, just like having an intimate moment as opposed to having it be this really mainstream, like I said, the lighting, the oil, it just doesn't appeal to me, you know, and I think
Right.
people, and even the men I've talked to say the same thing, a lot of them, that they like to look up that kind of porn or they prefer that kind of porn.
There is something about what I would call fake porn, which it's not. They're having sex, but they're
Yeah,
doing it. It's a scripted situation. They aren't necessarily into each other. There is something that is so sexy about real and knowing that the people are there because they want to be, and the sounds they're making are the sounds they feel, and how they look is not altered in any way. So,
exactly. And I mean, men and women have been procreating for all of history. And a lot of times, like, you know, now it's like, oh, you know, everyone likes the clean look. But it's like before, people had all different kinds of body types and even what was considered beautiful. I mean, we all look at like ancient art or art from, and we're like, that was like, you see the statue of Aphrodite, who was like the most beautiful thing that anyone could imagine. You look at her body and it looks like a lot of normal women today, you know, and that was attractive to men. And I think that's still attractive to men. I think a lot of men do like this real element of women, and that's what makes it sexy. It seems more accessible. Like you said, I don't want to call it fake porn either. I don't want to like, you know, speak ill on what they're doing because I think there is a market for it. But I think before the internet was as big as it was and before things like OnlyFans, we all had this narrative that that's what people want because there was nothing else that we could compare it to. Now with the internet and OnlyFans, we're realizing, oh, we were sort of lied to, like we are a lot of the time, and saying that this is what's sexy, this is what people want to see, this is how you can be a porn star, this is how you can be considered a sex icon, sex symbol. And now I'm seeing women that don't look anything like that. We're seeing a lot of women that don't look anything like that, 5 foot tall women, all different kinds of women that are making a killing at this. And you know, I get comments all the time, oh, you're my type, I like Middle Eastern women, I like shorter women. And I know have friends that look completely different that are getting comments like that all the time. So I not only is it more freeing for us, but I think it provides a lot of men with like, hey, this is all I've been fed to. And I actually am really attracted to this. And now I have access to it.
right. It does seem to me that the adult industry, along with the entertainment industry, I don't think by any means all of the blame can be laid upon the adult industry. In fact, I would say the entertainment industry probably affected the adult industry by saying, okay, here is what is sexy, here is who is sexy. And I think a lot of the reason behind that is that there is an image, a look, an aesthetic that is almost impossible to acquire unless you have money and you know, are willing to destroy your body through diet or have it changed through surgery. And I want to upfront say to all of my listeners, I do not judge women for any kind of plastic surgery or enhancements they want to get. I think do whatever empowers you. And so I want to be very clear that I am not in talking about the changing of the beauty standards and the things that women have done to look certain ways. I think women should do whatever they want with their bodies to look however they want. And I support that. I feel that is a truly feminist stance. There are men and women who find all of it attractive. There are men and women who find lines and wrinkles attractive. That is like a thing, right?
I think more people find that attractive than we realize. And I think being on OnlyFans and seeing what men want, I wouldn't have guessed that as many men prefer me natural as they do. Even my natural hair, like I don't wear it like this all the time. And every time I do, like, I love it. I love your natural. I was like, oh, I thought it was X. And you realize that those are just your insecurities that kind of have been perpetuated through the entertainment and adult industry. Like you have to look picture perfect. Your skin can't have any flaws, et cetera, et cetera. And then, there were times when I was first starting that I was like, oh, everyone's going to hate this. You can see this, you could see that. And then I would post it. People would love it. And I'm like, oh, are they just not noticing? And then I was like, no, they're probably just don't care because it's a human body and that's what human bodies look like.
So, with that said, what are some of the things that you found that men or people who are signing up for OnlyFans like? Can you give me kind of a list that describes the breadth of things and things that maybe do really well that shock you the most?
OnlyFans is a really great place where people feel open discussing what kinks and fetishes they have in an environment where they don't feel like they're going to be kink shamed. So I get messages all the time of people being like, hey, I'm really into this kind of kink or this kind. Is that something you're interested in, et cetera? And I feel like that's obviously not something like you could look up specific kinks in porn, but to be able to actually talk about it, like, do you have this kind of content? Do you have that kind of content? Foot fetish, before I thought like, oh my gosh, like that's weird. But now, I mean, not weird, but I just thought now that is so normal. People are like, hey, do you have feet content? Do you have, I mean, there's all kinds of things. Some people like submissive. Do you have any videos where you're in a more submissive role? Do you have videos where you're in a more dominant role? And I think it's created such a even like the phrasing. I don't know if you know on OnlyFans, for instance, like we say like BG content for boy girl content, or we say GG content for girl content, instead of just like, hey, do you have any videos of you being fucked? Like people we have this lingo. Do you have GG? Do you have BG? Do you have X kind of content? And it's kind of just this overall really positive environment where people feel comfortable coming to you as a creator and asking you, hey, are you comfortable with this kink? Is this something that you provide? And I would say every time if I say no, they're like, okay, thank you for your time. And they can go on to another creator, which is something that they didn't have access to before. So a lot of people are like, I don't understand OnlyFans. Why are people paying for this when it's available to you for free? But that kind of interaction is not available to you for free. That kind of openness and that kind of ability to message a creator directly and be yourself is not available to you in regular mainstream porn.
So I'm going to ask you two questions. First,
okay.
I would like just, again, a list of different physicalities that break the beauty standards that thrive on OnlyFans. And then, of course, I want you to end it with a list of kinks that have been asked of you.
I would say like a mom bod. Like I have friends that really are into that. Like that's their niche. And that is very popular. Like the mom bod, there's like,
wait,
yeah.
What is a mom bod? Explain
It's
what that is.
That doesn't look like it's, ripe and 20 and, it's just everything's nice and perfect and perky. It's people that there's subreddits on Reddit where it's like mature mom bod. That's like a huge subreddit. And people have like their C-section scars and everything on there. And it's like hot to a lot of men. And those are some of the biggest subreddits there are, and so it's like, it's interesting because no matter how conventionally attractive you are, there are still so many, like, for instance, me, and like, I guess I would be considered, conventionally, stereotypically attractive, but like, there are so many subreddits that are way bigger than the ones I post on that I don't fit into. And, they're killing it in a way that I could never kill it. And it is these people that are showcasing, hey, I have 5 kids and I'm 50 and this is how I look like. And men love it. I would say that's a big one. Being a little bit overweight, that kind of like a little bit, there's like subreddits or OnlyFans creators that like really go in like, hey, I have a little bit of belly fat. Whereas we're all taught, oh my God, your stomach needs to be perfectly flat. Otherwise everyone's going to hate you. That's really not the case. I would say that's another one. There is a big market for like very, very thin, like kind of like the straight look, because right now we're all told, oh, the voluptuous, the big tits, there's a lot of really great subreddits that and creators that come from that are very, very thin, no boobs, no butt, that a lot of people are into too. Like, it's such a difficult question to answer because I can almost think of any type of body you can think of. There is at least a handful of creators, if not more, that are thriving off of marketing that kind of body. I think beauty does have an objective component, right? But it's also highly subjective. And what's attractive is highly subjective. People love, there's subreddits and there are women who are like, don't shave. And that's considered very attractive. I have lasered all, and I get messaged all the time. Hey, can you grow a bush? I'm like, I can't. But, that is also very attractive to people. So people like all different kinds of bodies on OnlyFans. And you can really, like, we'll talk about it when we're talking about how to market you. It wouldn't be a problem at all. You would definitely find your niche and fans that are looking for, or men or women.
Right. So mom bods are big right now, folks.
Like, they've been big since I've started, that think about it. There was always that MILF vibe before, but the MILF looked a particular way. But I'm noticing that a lot of men just want you to look like a normal mom across the street.
Well, no one does talk about the mom bod. And certainly this is the first time, in fact, I've heard women get really frustrated with the whole dad bod thing because it is openly and rampantly talked about as being sexy, but mom bod is not. And I'll tell you why it's not. There's no money for corporations to make in mom bods at all.
Exactly. But there is money in normal, regular men being attracted to that, which makes sense. And there are a lot of mom bod OnlyFans people that are making money off of that.
Yeah, so I think it comes down to the fact that OnlyFans and apparently Reddit, I have spent no time on, but apparently these platforms are actually making women money for just being themselves and taking money out of the pockets in some ways of the industries that make so much money off of our feeling less than. I mean, that's fantastic to me.
Always said, like, from my background, OnlyFans is the one type of sex work that like would draw somebody like me. I think if OnlyFans didn't exist, I wouldn't be in sex work because all the other avenues of sex work probably wouldn't appeal to me, or I would have like, okay, I don't want to go into mainstream porn. I don't feel comfortable doing anything in person, like whether it's stripping or whatever. Not to say there's anything wrong with that. It just wouldn't appeal to me. But I'm like, oh, OnlyFans, this is the platform where your local lawyer or like I said, your barista can just in her room, like right now, like how I am with you, just get a little bit, show whatever I want to show. I'm not under contract to show a specific thing or do anything I'm uncomfortable with. I own the rights to all of my content. And I'm able to put it on this platform and engage with people one-on-one. And I have all the freedom and control. I think it's completely changed the game for a lot of women.
Guys, I think this is so exciting. This is so exciting to me. I love, I talk about sex all of the time. That's what I do here. And I am so passionate about it and about it being an empowering thing for women. And I love to hear this. And I love to hear that there is this platform where women really get to take control of their sexuality and how they share it with someone and how they make it, how someone with an average body can make money off of that beauty.
Yeah, amazing. And I will say it's such a ethical way to consume pornographic content. And I get messages from men being like, hey, I specifically watch my porn through OnlyFans because OnlyFans, the person is the creator, that. And if I want to bring, let's say I want to bring anyone else into my content, I have to send in their ID to confirm they're 18. They have to sign a consent form, et cetera, et cetera. So OnlyFans kind of gets rid of a lot of the issues that I think other porn sites that let you just upload anything and you don't know if the person's 18. You don't know if the person even consented half the time. OnlyFans, is everything going to be perfect all the time? No, but they do take all the steps necessary to be like, okay, this person signed up, they're verified, they're who they say they are. Any other person I want to bring in is 18, they signed a verification form, they want to be there as well. And because you're in control of what you post and everything that you do on there, for people who kind of want to consume this content, but maybe have some, okay, is what I'm consuming ethical? I don't want to consume anything that maybe the person didn't, want to be in it, or they don't want that out, revenge porn, all of that stuff, or kind of cuts back a lot of those issues, which is funny because a lot of anti-porn advocates, they talk about all this stuff, and a lot of the things that they talk about are kind of fixed.
I guess that wasn't even something that I thought was going to be part of this conversation, but you're right. It takes care of the ethical issue in a lot of ways. And not only that, you get to give your money directly to the creator. So now give me a list of the fetishes you've been asked for, the one, and even the ones that you don't do. But I just would love to hear a nice long list of the fetishes people are out there looking for. This will also help me decide on what my profile would be.
Oh my God, anything you can think of. And another thing that OnlyFans is, I guess, popular for is you can request custom content from the creator. So some people offer it. I used to offer it more in the past. Now I don't have as much time, but people will be like, hey, I have X fantasy. And it's like so specific. It's like, I have a fantasy of you cooking and then like just in an apron and like smashing plates. Like, I'm not even kidding. That was something, and it's like, okay. And if they're willing to pay for that, there's a lot of creators that are like, all right, as long as it doesn't make me uncomfortable or anything, I'll do it. Anything under the sun you can think of is fetish. I would say a big thing that is a moneymaker for kind of all of us women on OnlyFans. Men love their dicks rated. That's very popular. So a lot of us, oh my gosh, I would say at least I get like, oh my God, at least 50 requests a day. And I can't do all of them, but I like offer you tip $12, you send me your dick. There is like a big element, and this is kind of what I want to talk about later with you and how you could really market yourself on OnlyFans. Men are just curious. They're curious about sex. They're curious about how they would be in a sexual context. And I think some of them overestimate how much their dick size and stuff matters, but that's something they're really interested in. Is they're like, hey, how do I look? Do I look attractive? How does my dick look? What do you prefer? What kind of dicks do you like? This is a very common thing on OnlyFans. And I think it's one of the other reasons that OnlyFans is different from other ways like mainstream porn is you don't get that in mainstream porn, is a direct kind of review of yourself.
Wow. Mind blown. I mean, it's interesting to me because I will say this, when I have definitely had listeners reach out, and the first thing they want to talk about, one of my most popular episodes is Monster Cocks, the truth about dick size. And then I recently on my Triple X podcast, I talked about dick size because what I found is after men and cock owners listen, they want to send me pictures. I've been asked, and I was like, oh, no, don't do that. And so now I could see, and I feel a lot of compassion, honestly, for men and cock owners around this subject.
You don't know how many men send me like a perfectly normal, nice dick, and they are convinced that their dick is the reason that they are not prospering in the sexual market because it's not the ones they see in porn. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I mean, this is a whole fucking podcast in and of itself. You know what, Jazmen, you're going to have to come back and we're going to have to talk about dicks. Like
I
literally.
I love being on here.
Literally, when we get off, you and I are setting up a date to record a podcast, and we're just going to talk about cock and balls.
I'm going to share it actually to my OnlyFans subscribers or on my Instagram, obviously, which I always share, but I'm going to be like, this is what I want to tell you guys about, when you send me your dicks and you guys are so worried that it doesn't look like what you think it should look like. And, and they think that even women, like we're looking at it. So they're like, oh, it's this many inches. What is your perfect size? Like to the centimeter. I'm like, women, we don't look at it. Like, I don't ever like see a penis and be like, oh, is that, like, let me,
right.
It's really not like that, but they're convinced because they're being fed those lies too. And so I think a lot of them, they just, when they see an OnlyFans creator, a woman they find attractive, they're like, here, this is like a safe way where I can send this and get some feedback on my penis. And,
I'll tell you what,
fetish. It's a fetish too. Some people specifically want you to like humiliate. That's, that's a big fetish, is they want it's SPH. It's called small penis humiliation. That's what they're looking for. Some people are looking for you to hype this. A lot of people want honesty, but some people are actually sending it because it appeals to a certain fetish they have, whether it's humiliating a smaller penis or really being like, oh my God, this is so big, this is so great. And so they kind of can ask you for that too, and you can send them something that appeals with their fetish is.
All right, so listeners, listen, here's my commitment to you. As soon as we are done with this podcast, which is not over yet, because next we're going to move on to setting up my profile, we are going to set a date, Jazmen and I, to do a podcast on dicks. We're going to do one on dicks, and we're going to talk about dicks and balls and share that with you. And then I am going to convince her to stay for my XXX podcast. And I think here's what we're going to do. If you can find fans that will submit pictures, you and I will rate them together.
Ooh,
on my XXX.
That idea. I love that idea.
So let's move on to, there's the offer, listeners. Stay tuned. But let's move on to my profile. All right. I'm getting ready. Okay. I want to go on. I want to make some extra money and travel. So I come to you and I'm like, what, where would I fit? Help me come up with my profile.
First of all, I would say the biggest area that you like, the biggest thing that would, I think, appeal to so many people, just like it really ties into what I was saying. So many men are on OnlyFans because they're curious about sex. They haven't had a lot of sexual experiences. They don't know what pleases a woman. I will say every time I go live, and I'm expecting to go live and people ask me about, oh, can you they tip and I take off my clothes or whatever. But the amount of questions I get, like, hey, what turns you on the most? Hey, do you come from this? Hey, and you having a whole podcast where you talk about sex education and how to please a woman, etc. I'm sure that's probably a lot of the interest in your podcast. You could totally bring that onto an OnlyFans platform and be like, hey, not only am I showing you my sexuality, but if I am here, I'm somebody that does a whole podcast on how to make women feel good and what we look for and et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of men would be interested in that, because even those of us who don't market ourselves that way, I would say that is like the number one, I get DMs like, can I ask you a question? Oh yeah. What is your question? Do women, blah, blah, blah. How do I eat somebody out? What do I actually do? Do you want clitoral stimulation or a penetration? How can I have this girl that I'm, meeting up with, and I just want to make sure that I do everything right. I think that would be a big arena for you. And there's not a lot of other girls doing it. You could totally go into the, I can even think of like 5 subreddits right now that you could automatically start posting on. You could post in the mom, mature, MILF, all of that, raven hair, like people that are very attracted to dark hair and like lighter skin. Oh my gosh, that's what I'm saying. The possibilities are endless. Like you could really, if there's a fetish that you enjoy, that you want, I would say the number one thing is be authentic. Whatever you like, whatever like turns you on. Let's say you are somebody that likes to be dominant, you're dominatrix, whatever. There are people that are dying to have that. And like I said, Reddit is a great place because they specify different subreddits, and then you can use that and build your platforms on different like Instagram, etc. And that is what I would tell you, is find what you're interested in, find what you want to share about yourself, and people will like it. Interesting. Well, guys, I think if I were to set up a profile, man, I'll rate your dicks. Sex expert rates dicks, $7 dick rates, $10 dick rates, whatever you want to charge. A lot of girls do like a certain price for a text rating. And then like I provide topless ratings for a certain price too. So I will just rate your dick topless and people love it. It is after subscriptions, I think it's like the most, the most requests I get. And I love that OnlyFans, a lot of the people users, they know that. They don't, and it'll like actually blur out the dick. So you have to click on it if you want to. And a lot of people know, okay, I have to pay. I can't just send people unsolicited dick pics. Or if I do, it's just going to get ignored because they don't have to open it. So OnlyFans does really it is very creator centered. and it's whatever you feel comfortable doing, what you want to do. And I love it. I am so happy to be on OnlyFans. Changed my life.
Yeah, I think that is interesting. I think I would thrive.
You don't have anything to worry about. You could even just the same stuff that you just said, I'm not comfortable talking about here, subscribe to that. You could have just done that whole thing on OnlyFans if you wanted to. I mean, I'm sure there's, you know, that you can monetize that, but OnlyFans, I think, has kind of changed the game by allowing explicit content on there and allowing people to monetize it. Some people do non-nude. Some people you could use it as a sex education platform. And like, you know, the whatever you want to, I don't want to brand you because I want you to pick something that's true to you. I don't want to just look at you and assume like, oh, this is what you want. This is what could work for you. I want you to be like, no, this is who I am. This is what I like. What makes you feel sexy? That, you know?
This conversation has far exceeded my expectations, and you are so wonderful to talk to because you're so generous with your insights and information, and you're just so knowledgeable about so many things, but a woman's experience in life and expectations that are thrust upon us, then in the sex world, I didn't really realize that the market in OnlyFans, like God damn, why am I not OnlyFans? Why am I killing it right now? So this has been fun and insightful. Have you ever thought about being a consultant for women?
Maybe in the future, I do things a little differently than a lot of other top creators in the sense that like I don't work with an agency that's going to respond to my fans for me or have these bots. One, I think it's unethical. And two, I want to know. I want to know what my fans are thinking. I like my fans. A lot of these guys, and I hate the like, there's so many negative stereotypes put on women who do OnlyFans, but there's also a lot of negative stigma surrounding men who subscribe to women. So you're a simp, you're a loser, you're this, you're that. And these men are none of the above. In fact, like the messages I get, first of all, a lot of these men are so well educated. Everything is punctuated. Grammar is perfect. Like everything is, you know, these are normal everyday men who are working normal jobs that are like, hey, I saw your profile. I think you're beautiful. I came to support you. Let me start with the dick rate. That's like such a common message that I get. And I love that. And I want to, as much as I can, engage with them and be and they like that. These men want authenticity. And that's part of the reason they're turning to this as opposed to that mainstream kind of, you know, that mainstream blueprint that's been around is they're like, hey, I want something more personable. I want something more authentic. I think you're cool. So a lot of people, and that's something I tell OnlyFans girls, advice I give to OnlyFans girls all the time is, yeah, show your body, go on Reddit, post, but any chance you have to show your personality, you don't know how valuable that is. The biggest OnlyFans stars are like Twitch streamers who play video games, or they do something and people watch them and they're like, oh, she's cute, she's cool. And they like you. They like a big part of OnlyFans is they like you. They're not always there just for the explicit porn because that's available in so many other forms.
I think one thing that resonated with me was when you were talking about that there's a big market, especially in the age range and women who are older. And then you bring up the term simp and stuff like that, which really is a language that comes from the incel community.
Yeah.
And I think what's cool about this is it sounds like the men who come to OnlyFans are looking for ethical, personalized experiences, and also reinforcing the idea that only incels and fucking nobody cares about the incels. Nobody, they are powerless men who create narratives that don't exist. And one of the narratives that comes up on my profiles a lot when incels come after me is this concept of the wall, that women hit the wall, which is an age, what they're calling an upper age range where we are no longer marketable to men. I think that the reality is you want to take down their narratives and their messages around women's looks and ages. Just go and see the women who are thriving in the sex industry. There is no fucking wall. There is no fucking wall.
It's something to make them feel better. So even me, because I haven't hit the wall, people will be like, well, wait in 10 years. She's going to be lonely with her cat. She's going to be miserable. And it's what they're telling themselves because they're miserable right now. I'm not miserable. So their coping strategy is, well, I'm going to believe this narrative that she will be miserable. And maybe by then I won't be miserable and I will be right in the world. And it's like, sorry, I hate to break it to you. I'm still going to be hot and sexy and thriving in 10 years. And if you think like this, you're still going to be exactly where you're at.
It is true. It is true. I'm like, there is no wall. And they'll be like, yeah, it's proven. I'm like, you're an idiot.
I will tell you something. The woman, I just moved into this house and I didn't know the woman that, like, I never met the actual woman that lived here. And just the other day, I was so curious about her. So I looked her up and she is, I think, in her 60s. And she has like almost 1 million followers on Instagram. And she is some kind of cam model or like some type of porn star. And I was just like, she is working it in her 60s, making crazy money, traveling the world. And I'm like, yes, where is the wall? Where is this wall that people speak of? The wall only exists because if a woman actually internalizes that message and then tells herself that she's hit a wall and stops putting herself out there because of that. Because the women that continue to put themselves out there when they've supposedly hit a wall are thriving.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the reality, guys. And so if this podcast has not inspired you, I just don't know what will. I'm looking at a career change. I'm not going to lie. It's crossing my mind big time right now. And I blame you, Jazmen.
I mean, I will take when you start becoming big on OnlyFans, I will take the inspo credit.
Yeah, definitely. So while we're here, I want you to share all of your information. I am hoping my listeners will look you up.
Sure. Name is Jazmen Jafar. You can find me on YouTube under that name. My Instagram right now, the one that's up is literally Jazmen Jafar. And then I have a backup Jazmen.Jafar. My Twitch is Jazmen00. And that is also the name of my OnlyFans page if you want to follow me there. But honestly, if you just go to JazmenJafar.com, I have all of my links.
So guys, check her out. Of course, when you scroll down to the notes of this podcast, I will have her links there. So make sure to do that. And you guys know where to find me. I am on Instagram and Facebook, She Explores Life and Locker Room Talk and Shots. You can check me out on my personal Instagram, Annette Benedetti. No, that is not what it is. Being Benedetti. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's at Annette Benedetti. And you know, you guys, listen, if you've been here before, you know where to find me. So thank you so much, Jazmen. And I am looking forward to talking about dicks with you.
Yes, I'm ready for that. That one sounds very exciting.
Yeah. All right. Until next time, we'll see you guys in the locker room. Cheers.